Oil prices are rising, tensions in the Middle East are rising, temperatures are rising, the severe threat for today and tomorrow is rising, and sunspot complexity on an inbound region of sunspots is rising as well. Folks, it seems like we're in a ascension phase of various things that could impact our lives, and I'm going to talk about a few of those today, particularly the weather and solar related ones. We talked a little bit about some of the Middle East and geopolitical global tension things yesterday, and we're not going to get into much of that today, except to say continue to pay attention to what's going on around you and remember what happened during COVID so that you can stay vigilant and start to prepare in case we start to see an escalation that is very material around supply chains and things that are going on here within the United States, world travel, and so forth. So just keep a close eye on things is all I'm going to say right now, folks. But in the meantime, we're going to start here with our solar update. We've got an increased severe weather threat over the plains, and we're going to take a look at that. Tornadoes, very large hail, high winds are possible with organized clusters of showers and thunderstorms developing later today. Tomorrow, similar threat exists with a little bit more of a tornado threat. And then as we get on out in the next couple of days, temperatures are going to be going up in spots, and drought, flooding rains, all of the above are on the table. And the Weather Channel has released its long-term or summer forecast. We're going to take a look at exactly where they're showing heat and cool and wet and dry. So we're going to take a look at all of those things this morning. Happy Father's Day. We are midway through June, and that means it is 193 days until we get to Christmas. How about that? Now, look, we've got a big solar flare that is departing, or a solar sunspot that's departing, and it has released a solar flare, and you can see that kind of go off. There's one, boom, right around the edge. CME kind of came off with that. That'll probably glance us, but it's not headed toward us. If we take a look here at the sun, it's turning in this big coronal hole. It's going to shoot out a wind stream. It's already doing so. It's just increased solar wind comes out of these, and that interacts with the magnetosphere too. Unfortunately, if you're looking for big aurora excitement, this is a little bit too far south, but we do have a big sunspot region, 4114. We've been watching this turning in. It's growing in size. It's growing in magnetic complexity. And if we take a look here at the magnetic complexity, we can see that. Positive, negative, negative. See how it's kind of getting close together. These fields are interacting with each other. Could see a big solar flare come off of these, or at least some sort of a solar flare. It's getting toward that high-end watch stage where we expect to see some engagement here with these magnetic fields with each other. And so we're going to keep watching this and see if we get a solar flare that's going to be center disk over the next couple of days. So we're going to watch this, keep you posted on that. Could see some aurora or some disruptions in infrastructure and electronics if it's big enough. So we'll watch all of that. In the meantime, we've got something else to watch, and that is, unfortunately, more severe weather back out here in Montana and in North Dakota, parts of South Dakota as well, where we now have an enhanced risk, a level 3 risk for strong winds, large hail. Tornadoes are possible, but not quite as much of a tornado threat today as tomorrow. Surrounding that, from Great Falls over to Rapid City, Valentine down into Colby, and near Cheyenne, we've got a slight risk, and around that from Great Falls to Sioux Falls, all the way down into Midland, Texas, over toward Dallas and Little Rock. Marginal risk for more isolated severe weather. Hard to pinpoint any more areas down here that we could see a lot of organizations. So isolated severe reports with strong instability. Over here and toward Raleigh and Norfolk, places like that, Virginia Beach, we're looking at potentially an isolated severe weather threat or two, but flooding is going to be a bigger concern out here. The tornado threat today, about 2%. Wind, let's get the cities off real quick and I can show you this. Wind and is going to be a big threat later today, as supercells will develop this afternoon later in the day, produce some very large hail potentially, a couple of tornadoes or two, not out of the question, and organized wind threat with 80-mile-per-hour gusts possible. You see this big hatched area. That means significant wind gusts are possible. Hail is also possible, very large hail, maybe up to baseball size again here in central and eastern Montana for today. Tomorrow, much the same story, except farther east is where the threat's going to be located. I'll show you why this is in a minute, but there's a trough that's moving in, and that's going to progress east through the next several days, and it's going to take the severe weather threat with it. But we're looking at Minneapolis in here into Sioux Falls and up toward just southeast of Fargo. But that's where our severe threat is maximize tomorrow with a bigger tornado threat around that. Slight risk back toward the border of Nebraska and Wyoming, and then a big marginal risk that covers most of North Dakota, most of Minnesota, most of Wisconsin, all the way down here into the panhandle of Oklahoma, back into southeast Montana. General shower and thunderstorm activity possible around that. But here's our tornado threat. Again, I'll take these cities off. Tornado threat here maximized in Minnesota. Low-level jets going to be cranking up a bit. It's going to enhance the wind threat. It's also going to enhance the tornado threat with spin in the atmosphere, strong instability. And we'll see plenty of supercell development here, and again, an organization into clusters. Hail is going to be a big threat too with these supercells. Again, strong instability, very, very cool temperatures with height rapidly as you go up, and that helps hail production and makes it very efficient. So that's what we're looking at tomorrow. And then one more day I'll show you here as we get on out into Tuesday. Look at this severe weather threat. Now this trough comes in a little bit farther down toward Kansas, most of Kansas here into Kansas City, Missouri, back into Des Moines, Iowa. That's where our threat's going to be maximized. Marginal threat exists around that. And again, another marginal threat over here in the Piedmont of Virginia, portion of West Virginia, and so forth too, for an isolated severe report or two. Definitely not out of the question. So we always look at what's driving all of this. And when it comes to severe weather, folks, a lot of things can be at play. And we take a look at these quite often in terms of the factors coming together: low-level winds, upper-level winds, mid-level support, instability, moisture, and frontal boundaries, outflow boundaries, things like that. Well, in our case here, we've got wind maxes. You can see kind of where the main jet stream is, right? You see this? Where all these bright colors are? This is kind of your jet stream flow like this. And within the jet stream flow, we're looking at the 500 millibars, so this is mid-level flow. But within this flow, you see these little bright colors. These are little wind maxes and pieces of energy that translate along in the flow. And once in a while, you'll see a buckle in these lines, like right here. Here's a good one here. This has been producing shower and thunderstorm activity out here in the plains and sweeping into the Mississippi Valley. We've got another little trough here. Look at this, another little bend right there in Virginia, North Carolina. And we've got some frontal boundaries to work with. So we've got some upper level support in the form of these little waves of energy. We call these short waves. And we've got wind maxes coming in, and we've got boundaries at the surface. So we're seeing a lot of these things kind of come together to make the threat for severe weather, flooding, rains in various places. And so as we move this on out in time, this is this morning. Look what happens as we get on into the afternoon. This little wind max translates through Montana, where our severe weather threat is. This other little trough kind of works toward the east and provides a focus for lift for showers and thunderstorms. And we get on out into tomorrow. Look at this, tomorrow morning, start to get a little flatter flow. This trough is still trying to work in here, but watch what happens as we get tomorrow afternoon. Wind moving into Minnesota. This is where our threat's going to be maximized tomorrow afternoon. We get on into Tuesday morning, and late morning, here comes another trough into the Tennessee Valley. That's going to mean what? More rain, more scattered showers and thunderstorms here along the eastern portion of the country in the southeast. And here comes that trough. Look at this. It's finally starting to work in. See this little dip in the lines here? That's the trough. That's the shortwave trough. Got plenty of heating, plenty of moisture, plenty of instability, and that's going to help to focus all of that into a big cluster of shower and thunderstorm activity. So as we go on through the week, that severe weather threat, we're going to expect to see that sort of expand east and east and east throughout the week. And we're going to take a look at those days more in detail tomorrow, but just know that's coming. See here, we get on into Wednesday afternoon, that trough is working in and through the Mississippi Valley. We get on into Thursday afternoon, here it comes toward the Ohio Valley. And then we get this big ridge that starts to develop, and that's going to put a cap on the thunderstorm activity across the southern plains, maybe into the deep south as well, where we still have energy in the flow. We'll still see shower and thunderstorms translate across. Here's our instability map, and the European is showing plenty of instability. Look at this afternoon. Let me get up here. This is this afternoon, instability in Montana, all the way down the Front Range of the Rockies and the southern plains. Tomorrow afternoon, much the same story, except a little bit farther east. Big instability out here in the plains up toward Minnesota, back down toward Texas. Lots of instability across the south, Tennessee Valley in the southeast. And as we get on into Tuesday afternoon, much the same story, except now we've got a little bit of a better risk of severe weather farther south as well, with the maximum instability down here across Missouri and Kansas and places like that. Still shower and thunderstorms are going to be possible. Showers and thunderstorms anywhere where you have these bright yellows and greens for the most part. So keep an eye to the sky no matter where you are in essentially the eastern half of the country over the next couple of days. We'll see plenty of pop-up showers and thunderstorms. Look at this. This morning, we've got a big bow echo moving through Oklahoma. We've seen flash flood. I speculated yesterday that we're going to see some flash flood watches issued if this kept showing up, and we certainly did. And we do have flash flood watches now out here for Oklahoma and areas around. We've got this big bow echo moving through, a couple of shower and thunderstorms around as well. If we go through the afternoon here, that moves on into Texas as we get on into early afternoon. Showers and thunderstorms starting to fire up across West Virginia, the Tennessee and Ohio Valley, down into Florida, the southeast, and a big supercell starting to develop late in the evening out here in Montana, across Nebraska, and all up and down between. And so we'll see those continue to develop. See it forms into little clusters out here. We'll get another little cluster developing in North Carolina and enhancing the rain threat out there where flash flood watches are up to. And that system just works through South Dakota as we go on through the overnight hours into tomorrow morning. You see a lot of these activities continue to persist through the nighttime hours, as well as instability remains pretty strong. As we go on out in time, this is Monday morning, and we'll take a look at Tuesday afternoon. Look at this. We get on into Tuesday afternoon, we're starting to see storms fire up from the Mississippi River all the way over into the Ohio Valley, southern mid-Atlantic, across the northern tier as well. There's Minnesota. There's the big area of shower and thunderstorm activity that we're looking for Monday afternoon. Plenty of rain around. Here comes another couple of little with that trough working in, going to see some more clusters of showers and thunderstorms as well as we get on into the overnight hours Monday night into Tuesday morning. Things settle down a little bit before we get see that activity repeat. Tuesday afternoon, big line segments breaking out here, bow echoes and little clusters of thunderstorms moving through the severe threat area as we get into Tuesday. And let me just back it up one so you can see plenty of shower and thunderstorm activity with a frontal zone probably setting up here from the lower Mississippi Valley all the way up into the northeast. And we'll continue to see that progress through the week. We'll stop it there. Looking at high temperatures as we go on out in time here. Today, high temperatures looking rather mild and chilly in some spots up here in the northeast. We'll find some rain and clouds around up here, but they're definitely on the north side of the jet stream. It's going to be a little bit chillier up through the Great Lakes, 60s and 70s, and back into the Pacific Northwest, with the exception of the Spokane area. We'll see temperatures in the 70s and 80s with trough working in here, 80s, 90s up into the plains, all the way through the south and southeast, basically from mid-Virginia south, 90s in Florida, 90s in Texas, prevalent everywhere. Heat advisories and excessive heat warnings are up for the desert southwest, where we're seeing temperatures approaching 115. So very hot out there. Same sort of temperature regime will stay in place as we go on into Monday. Northeast down toward the lower mid-Atlantic is going to be where the cool air is filtering in behind that little frontal boundary that sets up here ahead of that trough. And then across the northern tier as well, back into the Pacific Northwest, where that trough is continuing to work in. 90s through the plains in the southeast, hundreds getting all the way up into Colorado now. Big heat out here in the desert southwest, still approaching 110, 115. And then Tuesday, to kind of cap off the first part of the work week, a little bit more of a trough finally working into the actual United States. Now we're getting it into the plains, and so we're seeing a little response in temperatures too. Temperatures in the 70s out here across the northern sections of the Great Lakes into the northeast. We're seeing 70s here too. So 90s surging up into the southern Great Lakes, again hundreds in the desert southwest, getting really, really warm and muggy as we go on out in time. And that process will continue as we go through the month of June. We're going to see temperatures pick up for much of the United States. We're going to take a look at the long range tomorrow. So that's what's going on, folks, in the temperature department. This morning on this vapor image, you can kind of see some of those troughs that I was talking about. One working through the Tennessee Valley here, another one kind of working subtly through here, and then a big one coming into the West Coast, and then some energy in the mid-level flow sparking off showers and thunderstorms through the plains as well. Big dry heat dome out here in the southwest that's keeping temperatures very, very warm. A moist air flow around the Bermuda High out in the Atlantic keeps us muggy and atmosphere laden with moisture as we're we going out in time here. There we go. Boom. Here's our radar. So here it is. Well, this the big bow echo this morning. Look at this. This showed up very nicely on the rapid refresh yesterday afternoon. There it is, working down in toward Texas. Little clusters moving into Montana and North Dakota, South Dakota, Iowa. You're seeing some rain. So if you're heading out to church this morning, it's going to be a rainy morning for some of you folks. A little scattered shower and thunderstorm activity in the Tennessee and Ohio valleys. Some up here in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, kind of working off the coast. So we'll watch for that to continue and build through the day. There's our alerts map. Flood watches up for today from Ohio, parts of southeastern Ohio, southwestern Pennsylvania, all the way through West Virginia, mid part of Virginia, into North Carolina as well, also into Oklahoma, where that big rain band has moved through, brought several inches of rain, flash flood warnings up out here, red flag warnings for Utah, parts of Colorado, heat advisories up for South New Mexico. We're going to see temperatures approaching 105 today, and then excessive heat warnings continue for Phoenix and Tucson, Tucson and Tombstone and Las Vegas, where temperatures could approach 115 in spots, particularly toward Death Valley. So very, very, very hot out there. Surface map today shows a little low pressure forming here in really in the border of Montana, Wyoming. There's our severe threat, heavy rain threat in these various red areas that you see. This frontal boundary is kind of stalled. It's sort of a quasi-stationary boundary. It's serving as a focus for these little pieces of energy to move along and continue to repeat, producing shower and thunderstorm. Guilford County last night, North Carolina, saw a ton of rain. Thunderstorms just kept firing up over the same spot. So a lot of flooding around there. We'll continue to see that threat exist today. Tomorrow, the boundary continues to stay in place. May see another active day here and through West Virginia, North Carolina in terms of showers and flooding, boundary through Oklahoma. So general shower and thunderstorm activity from the plain, upper plains through the western lakes all the way into the southeast and mid-Atlantic, and severe threat shifts into Minnesota. And as we get on out into Tuesday, much the same pattern exists. We're going to start to see some of the areas in the southern plains shut off later in the week, but until then, Kansas over to Iowa, severe threat is possible. Severe weather is possible on Tuesday, with a little bit more of in the way of flooding possibly out here as well, with some training of cells up and down the eastern seaboard through the Tennessee Valley. Plenty of shower and thunderstorm activity. And there is your rainfall over the next 3 days. We're looking at 2 to as much as 3 to 4 inches in spots out here in the southern, mid-Atlantic, northern, southeast, and also around Iowa, where we could see several areas of thunderstorms move through, bringing 4 inches of rain or so out here as well. That leads us into the Weather Channel, which is going to show us what they think the summer is going to look like. And here it is. Temperatures very, very warm in the northwestern quadrant of the country, the upper plains, upper Rockies, into Nevada down here, into Utah as well. That's the strongest signal they have for above normal temperatures. So far, that signal has been maximized down here over the southwest, but southeast looks to be a little cooler than normal. Maybe we stay under the influence of that Bermuda high a little bit longer, get a little bit more moisture pumping in, a little bit more cloud cover, so keeping temperatures a little cooler. So that's what we're probably thinking in terms of moisture, precipitation, drier over the northwest where you need rain, really need rain out in the desert southwest. Maybe that picks up out here as well, get a little split flow coming in and bringing disturbances through. But there's that Bermuda high influence bringing moisture all the way up and down the eastern seaboard, and so looking like could see a little bit more in the way of precipitation higher than normal out here from Atlanta to New York. And so we will see. Florida looks to be where you need rain down there. You're looking a little drier as well. So that's what the Weather Channel is showing us, and that's how they see it. How do I see it? Well, we'll let you know. I haven't put my summer forecast together yet, but I think that given what I've seen so far, I'm expecting more heat out west than in the east, and definitely I'm liking what I'm seeing with this Bermuda high sitting way up off the coast. That continues to moisture feed into the southeast, at least for our area. So hopefully it would keep, I'm in Morganton, North Carolina, by the way. Hopefully that'll keep temperatures down a little bit lower. I don't like hot weather. So anyway, folks, that is it for today. I'll be back with a full Cold Rains Weather World tomorrow. Hope you all have a wonderful day, a happy Father's Day, and have a happy Sunday as well. Take care. Bye.